Life is full of ups and downs. Life is full of ins and outs. But don't give up and don't feel down. Just learn to fly and you'll get by. But don't give up and don't...
A balloon carrying Mr. Phileas Fogg and his butler, Passepartout, has landed in a park. The travellers have stayed with the students, and their teacher, Professor Tongue-Twister, has set off on a journey through space, time and literature. What is he going to do now?
Let's take a break and visit that village over there.
You know, Rita, I've been working for British Rail for 20 years, and I thought I'd seen everything. I've seen passengers leaving the train without their luggage, but luggage? Leaving the train without a passenger? Well, I hadn't seen that before.
You must have stayed too long in the pub last night.
Not at all, Rita. Not at all. It was only when I saw this suitcase going for a walk that I had to come here.
Have you seen the papers?
No.
Look what they've written about us in today's St. James Gazette.
An entire village in Sussex must have gone mad.
Yeah.
Mad? We're not mad, are we? I mean, we're normal.
Right.
We've got a cheat writing that about us.
I tell you, everybody knows there's something strange going on around here. Yeah, I mean, take my shop, for example. For the last couple of weeks, I've had things disappearing. At first, I thought it was, you know, mice or rats.
That old cat of yours must have gone deaf and blind, Phil.
It doesn't have anything to do with cats. Would mice or rats have stolen 2 bottles of milk and a mouse trap? I don't know.
You know, now you come to mention it,
Thanks.
the other day, last week I think it was, I closed the pub, but I left the door open. I started cleaning the tables, and suddenly I saw a glass filling itself on the bar.
You must have been really tired after a long day at work, Rita.
Well, fair enough. I mean, I was a bit tired after that day, but who can explain to me how that glass could leave the pub and close the door behind it? It must have been black magic.
Oh, nice place. Crisp and pleasant morning. Fresh air. An ideal setting for a nap.
You know Charlie Tips?
The waiter from the restaurant by the station.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one time he was carrying a cutlet on a tray, and suddenly it disappeared. Then he saw it hanging in midair and heard someone chewing.
You don't say.
Yeah. And then he reached out to grab it back, and all of a sudden it started running away. All he saw were the tables and the chairs leaping and dancing.
So what did he do?
Nothing. What could he do? If he'd have told his boss, he might have gotten the sack.
Yeah, I suppose.
You know Mrs. Hall?
What, Mrs. Hall who runs the bed and breakfast round the corner?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, what happened to her?
Well, she had a guest whose head was completely wrapped in bandages. She thinks that the poor soul must have had an accident or operation or something. Anyway, one day he didn't come down for breakfast. So she decided to go upstairs to check if he was all right. But there was nobody there. She just saw these bandages lying on the floor. And as she was standing by the door, she felt a breeze as if somebody was walking by.
Oof, it's a bit spooky, isn't it? You know, all these stories send shivers right up my spine. Oh, Constable. Evening, Constable. The usual.
Not when I'm on the job.
Oh, still on duty this late, then?
Yes, there was a burglary at the vicarage last night.
Really? What happened?
Well, at approximately 11 p.m, The Reverend and Mrs. Bunting heard someone coughing and sneezing in the study. The Reverend went down to investigate, and he heard someone striking a match and opening a drawer.
Was anything stolen?
£2.10 altogether.
Well, do you know who did it?
No, that's the problem. The Reverend, he rushed into the room with a poker in his hand, and apparently it was perfectly empty.
You don't say. So, what are you going to do?
I haven't got a clue. Well, actually, I've got one.
Oh, what's that then? Tell us.
I have deduced that the burglar must have been suffering from a very nasty cold.
Why is that then?
Well, my darling, both the Reverend and Mrs. Bunting heard another violent sneeze in the hallway some time later. I am sure it must have been the burglar.
What? What? Why are you looking at me like that? Read it. But
I think me and you need to be having a little chat, my lad.
Where am I? Oh, I must have been asleep all day. Wait a minute. Where's my jacket? My cap? My goggles? Hang on. What do you think you're doing?
Please, I'm not a thief. I'm just cold. Achoo.
I'm not surprised you've caught cold running around naked like that. Oh, come and sit down on the bench. Come on. It's all right. Oh, you're not well. You need to see a doctor, you know.
No, no doctors. Achoo.
Bless you. Here. Here's a handkerchief.
Thanks. Achoo.
Oh, look. I'll see if I've got an aspirin now. Don't go away. Let's see what we've got here. Antiseptic. Bandages. Eye drops. Plaster. Ah, aspirin. Here.
Thanks. You're very kind. Achoo.
Let's take your temperature. Here's a thermometer. Now, tell me what happened.
Well, I'm an experimental investigator. I was once a student of medicine. Achoo. But I gave it up, and I took up physics. Light. Light was what fascinated me. And while experimenting with light, I accidentally came across a way of making myself transparent.
Absolutely extraordinary.
Well, not really. That's the tragedy. Nobody likes me. Although everyone can see through me, nobody understands me.
It's terrible. People can be so cruel. So what are you going to do?
What can I do? I want to be alone. I need to shut myself somewhere in the dark, far away. What's that noise? Can you see anything? My eyesight is weak, but my hearing is still sharp.
He looks like a policeman. He seems to be looking for something in the park.
He's probably looking for me. Here. Here's your jacket back. And the rest of your things.
Afternoon, officer. Nice park, isn't it, eh?
Yeah, it's not bad. You haven't seen or heard anything suspicious, have you, sir?
Suspicious? Me? No.
Good. You some kind of aviator?
Yes, I'm a pilot, actually. Captain Tongue Twister's the name. Just taking part in the annual London to Paris balloon race and stopped here for a short break.
I see. Well, hope you win.
Oh, thanks.
Good luck.
Bye. When I was a little boy, my grandfather often used to say, always look inside people because on the outside, they may not be what they really are. He was right, you know. And also, just because you can't see anything, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's nothing there. It's time for a rhyme. There once was a very strange case of a man with no body or face. He was one and one only, sad, rejected and lonely. So quite naturally, he felt out of place. This example, which is one of a kind, shows the limits of ears, eyes and mind. Though sometimes we agree that we see what we see, some of us choose to be deaf and blind.
Having borrowed a balloon from Phileas Fogg, Professor Tongue Twister flew into the world of literature. He soon met Robin Hood, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. He also visited Romeo and Juliet and called on Henry Higgins, the famous linguist. He helped the citizens of Croydon to win the War of the Worlds and also made the acquaintance of Robinson Crusoe, the famous castaway. He made friends with Geoffrey Chaucer and William Shakespeare. He came between Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He also made himself useful to King Arthur and the Invisible Man. Where will he end up next?
Life is full of ups and downs. Life is full of ins and outs. But don't give up and don't feel down. Just learn to fly and you'll